All right. Hey, what's up, guys? It is Ben 10,000 of HardLegJoe, your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh! Superhero. And today, guys, on Behind the Screens, I have a very legendary guest in the Yu-Gi tube space, HardLegJoe.
Oh, well, hello there. Nice to meet you. I gotta thank you right off the bat for calling me HardLeg Joe instead of HardLeg Gaming. I get a lot of people who call me that, and I'm like, that's the name of the channel. I have a name. I appreciate that.
Wasn't the channel's original name HardLegJoe? I'm not sure how long.
No,
I've been
it was
following
HardLeg Gaming.
Oh, it's always been that, huh?
I haven't changed it or anything. Yeah.
Oh.
Because originally there was like Let's Plays on it. It was mostly Let's Plays. If I had known what it was going to turn into, I would have named it just like HardLeg Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know. I just I've ever since I followed you, you've always been doing like Yu-Gi tubing and you would speak and do all that stuff. So I just assumed that's how it always been.
My channel didn't really take off until I got rid of all the gaming stuff and moved that to its own channel. YouTube doesn't recommend channels if like half your videos don't do very well.
Oh.
So the fact that I had these Yu-Gi-Oh videos doing like a couple thousand and these gaming videos doing a couple hundred, they're like, this guy's inconsistent content. We're not going to push his channel out. That's why if you ever have ideas for different videos that are different from what you're normally doing, spin it off to a new channel. Make as many channels as you possibly can. Good advice starting right off the bat.
I know. That was like something that's actually I think one of the questions I got from one of our viewers, but I'll be
you're welcome.
Yeah, I know. I'll be straight up with you. I eventually do want to take Behind the Screen and let it be its own thing, but because I am starting to expand this out to non-Yu-Gi tubers. But for now, it's mostly Yu-Gi-Oh. So I think
it's something, especially at your size, when you're like 1,000, there's different growing techniques for different sizes of channel. Once you get up to like 5,000, 6,000, you start seeing those big number differences. That's when you want to spin it off to its own thing.
Let me.
Oh, you froze there for me.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. That was weird.
Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
Let me just disconnect a few things.
It's okay. The internet does that from time to time.
Yeah. I mean, and this show's more of a podcast type thing anyway, so seeing us isn't always that important. It's hearing us that's more important anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we'll go ahead and we'll start with something a little bit...
That's most of my show anyway.
Well, like you said, you have a radio voice, so it works.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're going to start off with a very, small question. So do you have any pets?
Pets? No. Not a big fan of pets. It's just other stuff you got to take care of, man. I'm good by myself.
Okay. That's probably a good thing. I have a cat, so he's a handful, so yeah. I relate to that already.
Yeah. I mean, they could be worth it. They could be really good for your stress and everything, but I just never really had that much of a problem with it. I could do it on my own.
Yeah. Well, I didn't pick him. He picked me, so that's how that worked out. I was like, man, I don't even like you, and he's just like, but I like you.
You have been chosen to take care of me.
Yeah, pretty much, and
do it well.
Yeah, and I'm just not a cold-hearted enough person to all right, fine.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, to be fair, if a cat came up to me and wanted to be taken care of, I would probably do it, but that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
I'm no Disney princess.
And where's my tiara? I feel lied to. Damn you, Disney! But thank you. I'm here all night, ladies and gentlemen. So this one's something that I think is very Yu-Gi tuber related for this question. And it's something that I have kind of been feeling a little bit lately, especially with the way Yu-Gi-Oh is right now, is how do you stay motivated to make content? What's something that keeps you motivated and keeps you going?
Well, I mean, the fact that there's so many different decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's always easy to find something that's fun to do. If you don't like what's going on, just try more casual decks. At least when I go on stream or whatever, I could be like, guys, just don't bring any Dragon Link. I don't want to play it. Just anything but that. Which I know a lot of people don't have the benefit of doing. I think also, at least from a content standpoint, it helps that I've just made it a consistent part of my schedule. Like, I just have it down pat where it's like every Friday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'm recording things, and every Saturday I'm doing this. So it's just so much of my routine that motivation doesn't matter. It's just like any other job. Like, you go in and you do your work, and sometimes it's more fun than others, and sometimes you're just there because you need to be there.
Okay. That actually,
gotta make the money.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the questions that I was going to ask, actually. So you kind of beat me to it there. I was going to ask you about, like, you know, does Yu-Gi-Oh feel more like a job more than a game to you as of late?
Like, not as of late. Actually, this year's been pretty good so far. It really goes from it changes from format to format. I remember around the time of like Goki Extra Link format, when it seemed like every single deck was just how many links can you pump out, and it was getting a little bit frustrating. But here, there's enough go second cards and enough go first cards and enough variety of casual decks, like rogue options. Like, you know, obviously you're going to see Dragon Link and Adamancipator, but you run into dinosaurs from time to time. You run into, like, Pendulum. Hell, I was just playing Abyss Actors. I ran into Gladiator Beast. That was a fun match. So there's still enough variety there that you can get cool stuff.
Okay. So, like, so basically, is that something that kind of brings back to the other question then, too? Because, like, like I was going to say is, like, personally, I've been feeling stressed about it because, like, I try to make my my casual rogue decks as optimal as I can, and in order to kind of, though, and with my testing style, one of the things I do is I go up against the meta just to see, okay, is there a way I can tweak this to keep up? And it doesn't have to win necessarily or have a high win rate. I just need it to, you know what I mean? I just don't want to get rumpled.
Do his best is good. I think that's another thing that's helped me out is the fact that I'm playing a new deck every week. Because I'm recording the What a Deck, I have to constantly come up with new stuff. Because I remember back in the day, like, I used to love Spirits, and I would do that thing where I continue to workshop Spirits and make it competitive. And when you get into a format where just that deck doesn't work no matter what you do, it can be really frustrating. But when you're constantly doing new stuff, then it's like, okay, well, this isn't working. This might not work for 6 months, but I could try Datascape. That was fun. That was more fun than I thought it would be.
So, like in my
that's what I would say if you're.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're feeling frustrated, I'd say try out a new deck. Try something you haven't thought of trying before.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say as an example of then to what you're talking about is like Dragoonity. Are you?
Oh yeah, with all their new stuff.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I'm having technical difficulties. I have everything closed except for...
It's okay. These things happen.
Decepticons. That's what I'm going with. I'm gonna...
From what I recall, you're still recording on like a laptop at the moment, which can make anything difficult.
Yeah, I don't have a desktop. But this is all I have.
Yep,
so.
You got to save up.
Yeah, I got to make money first. That's the challenge there.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, big oof.
Yep, I remember those days.
Yeah, making
40 hours of fast food and then come home and try to do something on a cheapo computer. Like, ugh.
Yeah. And then that kind of leads into the other problem that I think we're all experiencing right now is the pandemic situation doesn't really help with any of that. So
I guess it depends on what kind of job you're in.
Yeah.
Before YugiTube, I was always a fast food worker, and from what I understand, they're still going strong, even if there's a chance you'll get sick or whatever. Like, that's a necessary. What's the word? Not a necessary job.
I can't remember the word now off the top of my head.
Yeah,
essential. Yeah, it's an essential job.
Essential, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody
like you're making food. It's an essential job.
Yeah, and everybody's got to wear
masks.
One of these. Yeah. Oh, I've got a handful, so that I keep around.
I wear what's called a neck gaiter that like covers your whole lower face. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but it's much more comfortable than a mask.
Yeah.
I would recommend one.
I'm actually
to all the people out there, look up a neck gaiter.
Okay. I'm actually cool with it. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. So I'm like, All right.
Ah, okay.
I actually like it. I hope this trend stays. I feel like a ninja every time I wear this thing. That's the next deck I should be working on.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I would need it.
Ninjas ain't easy.
No. Trap
Any
cards.
deck revolving around traps.
Yeah. Too slow.
A
Too
bit slow.
Just a bit. But I was going to try to say with the pandemic situation is what's the impact been on your life? I mean, you're a content creator, so I'm just curious. What's the pandemic situation?
Almost none at all. I barely left the house as it is. I'm working like 60 hours a week, and I work from home, so the only time I really left was I used to go out to eat 3 times a week, and I actually had a novel I've been working on for the better part of a year, and I find it difficult to write while I'm in the house because I keep getting distracted by like the internet. So I'll go out to somewhere like Waffle House or Raising Cane's where there is no internet, sit down for like 3 hours and write, and I can't do that. So it stopped me from working on my novel, but other than that, nothing else really.
Actually, I think my audience knows this. I've plugged it a few times, but even I actually have a book. It's a small thing, and I'm a dyslexic person, so I don't advertise it too much. But yeah,
is that on like Amazon or something?
Yeah, self-published. But I don't know. I don't care if I ever make any money off of it. It's just my story. I just wanted to throw it out there, and whatever happened with it happens with it.
Hey. At least you finished it. That's like 90% of people I know who have a story haven't even gotten it out there. So
yeah,
you're already doing better than a lot of people.
I got part 1 out there. I've got yeah, I have like,
how many parts you got?
I got 7. Is what I want.
7?
I need 7 books to finish the whole story, but the first book's out there, so. And the second one is halfway written on this machine. And then I have the the synopsis for the rest of them. So I was like,
it's good to have a whatchamacallit. Good to have an outline, know where you're going and everything.
Yeah. And then I figure speaking of writing, like since we're on that topic, I know that's not a question I had written for you, but I am curious, like, so what is your novel? Is your novel fiction, nonfiction? Can you tell us anything about that?
Oh yeah, it's fiction. I can give you the basic back of the book. It's called The Legend of Lefty, and it's basically a takedown of not a takedown, subversion of fantasy ideas. The whole thing starts with long ago there was an ancient evil and it threatened the land, and then the hero defeated it and we're at peace. And so you have this character Lefty who's very strong and very noble and wants to do important things, but the world is at peace. There's no villains to fight. So he just sort of goes out into the world to try to discover what he can do with these talents that are no longer useful.
Oh, interesting.
It's sort of inspired by that whole idea of I was born too late to explore the world and too early to explore the universe. So what do you do when you're a talented, strong individual in that thing? And then there's a whole bunch of fantasy stuff that it sort of sets up and then does the opposite of.
That's kind of interesting.
There's elemental magic, but the elements in this universe are food, drink, water, and sleep. Rather than fire and ice and stuff like that.
Okay.
So chefs are like magicians who create food that gives you magical properties like regeneration or super fast running and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
It's really weird, kind of goofy.
I like it. I like it already. I also like the concept of having your hero existing in a world where warriors aren't really needed anymore. What's
because it's in the modern day. There's a lot of people who sort of they feel the call to action, or they're maybe big, strong, but not too bright types. And in the past, they would have been excellent warriors, and now there's nothing for them to do really.
Yeah, it's like it's like being really good with the sword in today's day and age. Being a master swordsman in today's day and age. What are you going to do with that? It's a useless skill.
Yeah.
Outside of the Olympics.
Unfortunately. Well, I guess fortunately. If you live in a world where sword skills are important, life is probably short and brutish. So
little bit.
It's like, yeah, I like the internet and chilling out, being able to sit in a comfy chair. I don't want to have to fight nobody for dinner.
Likewise. So another question. So I know you okayed this one, but since before we were talking on the camera, I mentioned about, asking about your romantic situation. You mentioned that's kind of a dull topic for you right now.
Yeah, I don't really. The basic version is I was in a relationship about 5 years ago with like someone I thought was like essentially perfect for me after like a series of mediocre and middling relationships. And that relationship kind of broke apart. And I was like, well, if it's not going to work out with the person who like fits me perfectly, I'm not sure if it's going to work out at all. So I've just basically given up on romantic relationships, which sounds depressing, but honestly, it's just been like, hey, I can focus on work. I don't need to worry about this stuff. Just do it on my own. That's been the last 5 years.
Yeah, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you, Joe?
I am 33.
Oh, you're a little
just
older
turned 33 in August.
Okay, so you're a little older than I am. Not much though. I just turned 30, so I'm like right behind you. Yeah. We were there when Yu-Gi-Oh!
I've got the wizard beard. That takes time to grow.
It's
ironically, I didn't start playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Until I was 22.
Really?
I never played it as a kid. I was never into the old GOAT format or anything.
I played Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was like 12.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
It's all good. My machine's being a butt right now, so it's like, blinking at me. Like, oh, do I want to stay connected? I'm like, sometimes.
I would prefer, yes, thank you.
Yeah, likewise. What I was gonna say is like, there's a joke on my channel where I put on like white makeup on my facial hair, and we called him Grandpa Ben, and I was like, back in my day, we sacrificed our monsters and we liked it. Yeah, that's how old I am in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Back in my day, our fusion monsters had very specific material.
Yeah.
You kids today, any light monster, spoiled.
You kids today and your link summoning.
Your link summoning and your chocolate bars and your hula hoops.
Oh, God.
You're getting to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge territory.
And now we've just lost all of the people who are 20 years old or still at like late teens. They're all gone now. They're like, nope, we're out of here. I don't need to listen to these two old farts.
Nope, I don't want to hear two grandpas talking about Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. That's the goal. That's the goal in my actual opinion. Like, I literally want to be the oldest Yu-Gi tuber. That would be a dream for me. Be like, grayed beard, wrinkled, still wearing the same hat. They're like, I've got the channel, the name is literally Grandpa Ben now. It's goals.
That is going to be weird in 30, 40 years, assuming YouTube is still around. You're going to have all these people who basically did YouTube for a career in their 50s and 60s.
Right?
Grandpa PewDiePie still making content.
Could you... Or I don't know, the more successful tubers will... Yeah, or the more successful tubers will quit and they'll retire early. I could see that happening too.
Possibly. I don't know. It's the way YouTube is set up. It's such like it's almost gamified to the point of being addicting. Where like you upload something and then you get that feedback, and then you're incentivized to load more. And because you can do it from sitting in a chair, I have a feeling these people have made it such a part of their lives that a lot of them will just keep doing it until they literally can't anymore.
Oh, so even guys like PewDiePie or Logan
Only
Paul?
time will...
All right, guys. Sorry about that. You guys probably noticed that there were some technical issues there. Your boy here has dinosaur level equipment here. I mean, I'm just like a step beyond dial-up over here.
For now.
For now.
Someday we'll look back on this and laugh. Hopefully.
Yeah. So I mean, who knows where the future will go with tech? I mean, and someday I'll be able to afford better machinery.
We can only hope.
When where the last recording cuts off, we were actually making jokes about being old YouTubers. We were making jokes about PewDiePie and like Imcole40 and all them being like old tubers.
I don't remember very well because not only has it cut off for the people who want full transparency, it has been a day since we recorded.
Yeah.
The previous one, so I've lost a bit of the wherever the conversation was. I don't remember it 24 hours later.
It's all good. We were just making kind of jokes about because because we briefly talked about YouTube going, where the future is going to go with YouTube and the internet and all that stuff. It was like a tangent, if you will, but
okay.
Yeah. So, but since it's been a day, I'm gonna re-ask some of the questions. Let's see here. I also took some notes because luckily during the editing process, I take time notes so I can kind of know what questions to skip. I think one thing that I really wanted to touch on was, how you were showing your face more. I think you kind of briefly remember me mentioning that the first time around.
Yeah.
I guess then what I'll go into with that is like, did you have any like fears about like how your audience was going to see you for the first time? Were you a little bit like, oh goodness, they're about to see my face?
Like I said, I don't think that I'm like that ugly. I don't think that I've got like a horrible face or whatever. Like it's striking. I've got the beard. Like the baldness is like a little worrying, but it's distinctive. And there's lots of fine bald entertainers and stuff. So I wasn't worried about that. My opposition to face cam has always been sort of like a more philosophical one in general, where it's like, if I'm just going by audio, then the only thing they can judge me on is the content of my character, what I say and what I do. I didn't like the idea of like people seeing my face and thinking worse of me because I was ugly, or thinking better of me because they thought I looked cool. Either one, like I just don't like the way that like visuals can impact what people think about you.
Yeah, it's kind of like
so it was a little.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead. We got that lag again.
Oh, sorry. That's probably me.
It's all
Let's
good.
Just be honest with my dinosaur tech, which is very fitting that I play a dino deck. This thing's just barely beyond a rock anyway.
Fits perfectly.
All right, so I guess we'll go to the one question I had on here that was like the last one from the last session, because that one was like the big one that's always the most what do you call it? The most like to the real world, because it's behind the screen, so we're kind of getting a peek at you as you really are versus the person we play on YouTube. So the idea in my mind was to ask you, you got more political on Twitter, and first of all, I'm going to go ahead and applaud you for that, because I think that does take some courage to, as a content creator, to, especially one that doesn't deal in politics, to come out and let everyone know where you stand. A lot of people are still very hesitant about it, and I think personally that it's, it takes some courage. Did it take any build up for you to start letting people know where you stand on the issues?
No, I've always been pretty vocal when it came up, like in episodes I've talked about like my political beliefs, even as far back as like the Legs plays when I was making Let's Play content and stuff like that. But usually it was just like if it came up, I would bring up my ideas. I didn't actively start to push things until recently. But honestly, I feel like the tide is sort of turning in that favor. You've got a lot of these younger audience members who are realizing there's problems with the world, and they're frustrated with the fact that for some reason it's taboo to like talk about politics. Which is really weird in a democracy. Like our whole society is based around the idea that citizens are informed and we should talk about the issues because we help decide them. But somewhere along the line, it got to this point where, no, you're not supposed to talk about those things.
Yeah.
And I think we used the example last time. It feels like, when you're at work and your boss is like, don't talk about how much you make.
Yeah.
And it's like,
because it just
it's not that
him.
That's rude. Yeah. it's not that it's rude, it's that it benefits the people in power if you don't talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I feel like, maybe I may just be a card guy, but I have just as much a right to talk about politics as everyone. I want everyone to speak up. I'm hoping that like some of the bigger Yugi tubers can take a stance at some point. Yeah. That would be nice.
MBT's and you are the only two that I know where you stand politically. Like the other tubers, I can kind of take a shot in the dark. You know what I mean? Like MBT's really really good friends with Simo and Nim Nim, so I wouldn't be shocked if we found out their politics was very much in line with MBT.
I wouldn't expect either of them to be like really hardcore Trump supporters.
Yeah. I mean that could almost be a game in and of itself. Is like, ooh, let's play a game figuring out which Yugi tubers are which side of the political aisle.
Yeah. Better to let people say for themselves. Although that is one benefit of saying for yourself. If you say, then people don't get to speculate on it.
Yeah.
If you're silent, then people are just gonna guess.
Oh yeah, it's very obvious by my Twitter page where I land politically, and most of my audience members know that I'm very left leaning. I describe myself as a progressive, so.
It's weird because for most of my life, I always considered myself a moderate. Mm-hmm. I always believed strongly in look at both sides and figure things out. And it's just been the last 10 years or so that I found myself like trying to be moderate, looking at the facts. Mm-hmm. I just happen to I agree with the left side a lot more. And especially recently, that's why I've been a lot more like, no, this isn't really like a matter of opinion. It's if you look at the facts, the left side is right like 80% of the time.
That's literally how, and I know I told you this story already, but that's literally how I went from being like a far right person to being I really feel like, because I'm really aligned with like Bernie Sanders, so like I'm just left of center now, I think politically. Yeah. I mean, I still have a few views that I think are probably a little more right leaning. Like my view on guns, for example, would probably be a little more further right than Bernie Sanders.
I keep going back and forth on guns because I kind of feel as though like, if you need a gun to protect yourself, it's almost cowardly. Like, fight your own battles, and if you're not strong enough, then you've got to rely on other people. Build a community of safety instead of just hunkering down. But then at the other point, if you read the Communist Manifesto, Marx is like, a well-armed populace is very important. So it's like, well, he's the most left-wing I could think of, and he's like, yeah, don't let them take your guns. The proletariat needs to rise up.
Yeah, that's where the thing with me is with guns is and my perspective on it's a little different. Mine is like I grew up in Texas, so I'm a Texas boy. So I live in rural Texas. I'm probably like one of like 100 liberals in my area. So yeah, my side of the aisle is very slim here in my neck of the woods. But point being, when it comes to guns, like I've grown up around them. They've been around in my life since I was a child. And like like my parents were very adamant about this is not a toy. Don't play with this. So I from the get-go have always been like it's something good to have around. My family hunts, so not that you need a gun necessarily to hunt, but it definitely helps. It's a lot easier than know.
I mean, I'm in Missouri, so this is a very red state for the most part.
Both of them.
Granted, I'm near St. Louis, so that's a little bit more. There's a little bit more liberal side to it because I'm closer to a bigger city. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I know. Like the thing is, like everyone in my family owns guns. Like I've gotten all the same kind of thing. But the thing, I remember hearing a statistic that said if you own a gun, you're more likely to shoot yourself than to shoot someone else.
That's true.
And it's like I have one family member who's killed themselves and 0 who have shot anyone trying to intrude them, so I feel like guns are more of a danger to yourself than a danger to anyone else.
That's funny you say that, because my little brother and my cousin, there's a story in my family where, as me and my older, like, all of the kids, basically, we all visited the grandparents' house often. So,
yeah.
me and my older set of the grandkids, so it's like, me and the cousins that are a little closer to me in age, we all took it serious and went, oh, well, I don't want to play with that. So, but
that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah. So we were like, yeah, that's dangerous. We don't want to touch that. You know what I mean? Like, we'll climb a tree that's, 20 feet in the air, no problem. But the pistol was just, nope, not playing with that. My little brother and little cousin that were, they're like 5 years younger than the rest of us. They were a lot more bold. So there is a hole in my grandmother's house. Well, there was a hole. They've probably patched it up by now. But there was a hole in her bedroom wall because they decided to play with one of my late grandfather's guns and fired a hole.
They take it quite as seriously as they should have, probably.
They did after that when they blew a hole in there and they had they covered it up with one of his hats. If that's not funny enough. I was by the coat rack, so they're like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna hang that right there.
It reminds me of my first apartment. My roommate had a party and one of his friends put his head through the wall and they covered it up with a poster. Like, oh, where'd you get that new poster? Like, don't worry about it. It's just, we're putting it up. I'm like, that's a really weird place to put it. Like, I thought it looked good. And then 3 weeks before he moved out, he's like, okay, I need your help to fix this hole in the wall.
Oh, yeah, I need to spackle this or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we didn't get our deposit back.
But to bring it back to the politics thing, I was gonna say is like, so my ultimate.
Sorry,
it's all good. Tangents are okay. The audience loves the down to earth nature of this series, so tangents are okay as long as they're we're not stepping on anyone's toes, so we don't have to. I'm the guilty party usually in that, to be transparent. But I was
it's all good.
Yeah. What I was going to say is, to bring it back to politics, so the view for me on guns is I'm okay with guns. I just think that there needs to be like a better vetting process for who can get them and who can't. There are several countries like Japan has really strong gun regulations. As an example, like one of the things they have is like they have an inspector that comes out to your house and makes sure that you're storing your weapon rightly. You know what I mean? Like they have like regulations on how you can store your weapon and that kind of thing.
I feel like, you need a license to operate a vehicle because a vehicle can kill someone. And guns are like designed to kill people.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I have to register my car every couple months. I have to have plates. I have to pay stamps on them. I have to take a test sometimes to prove, like when you get older, you have to retake the test to prove you can do it. I feel like we should have those same kind of standards for guns, at least.
And have like a safety course or something to go with them.
Yeah, take a safety course, do something.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Are you familiar with the way? I think it's Sweden, where it's like mandatory that you have to own a gun.
Yes, I think I've heard that, but don't they also have like a bunch of safety regulations and like they're very specific about the type of gun you can own, that kind of thing?
The thing, like, I think I'm not sure if you're mandatory, but like their gun ownership is like through the roof because everyone is technically part of the government militia.
Oh,
where they're like, if we need to organize a defense, we could call you in. So you have to have a gun, and everyone is like trained in marksmanship and stuff. And it's often a talking point that like, oh yeah, they have so many guns, but they have very little violence, and that's because you're not allowed to own ammo.
So basically,
the ammo is kept
by the military.
The ammo is kept in like gun ranges or in like certain civic places where they're like, yes, if there's an attack, we'll send a siren, everyone run to this place in the neighborhood, and people will hand out ammo. Or when you go to train, they give you a certain number of ammo, they keep track of that stuff. So everyone has a gun, no one can shoot it outside of a shooting range, really.
So basically, if you even though you have it, it's just a glorified baseball bat, essentially.
Yeah,
as a weapon, that's like the best you could use it for.
I forget what comedian it was. He's like, we don't need gun control, we need bullet control.
Bullet control. Which actually, like, there's a long-standing joke among people like myself, who are like, they say things like, gun people are always looking, are prepared for an invader. Sword people are just wishing for one.
Gotta have that sword.
I've
Yeah,
I've had an obsession with blades since I was a child, so I don't. You can blame Power Rangers for that.
I could never afford a blade. I do have a crowbar in my room just in case when I moved in.
Hey, whatever
That's the
works.
closest I get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of my swords were, except for one, were gifts. The only sword that I ever bought was a mall sword, and it's just decoration. And most of them are. Truth be told, most of the swords I own are just
Yeah.
decoration. This one's real, but I think this one is more of a what do you call it? It's a prop sword, so it's you can actually hit people with it, but it's not sharp as you can see, and the tip here is
Yeah.
blunted. So it's meant for theater, is what it is meant for. But you could actually hurt somebody with this one.
Yeah. I mean, anything can be used as a weapon if it's hard enough.
Yeah, I mean, and that one's sturdy. If I wanted to take a grinder to it and make it sharp, like I could do so, and it would be a legit weapon. But no, this one's just a theater sword. I think that's all of my questions. Why don't we go ahead and go into the viewer questions, since most of them came from you. And
Okay.
I did get a new one from, remember, I don't know if you remember yesterday when I mentioned the content creator Tracy Cakes. So shout out. Yeah, shout outs to you, Tracy. She decided
Subscribe.
to leave. Yeah, subscribe to her. She left a question on my Instagram, so I was like, oh, so then I got one new question for you. So that'll hopefully spice things up a little bit.
What a seed.
Oh yeah, it's a joke question, so I think you'll get a giggle out of this one.
Okay.
So why don't we go ahead and start with her since I mentioned it? It's because it's kind of funny. She wants to know, do you have a soft leg?
No, I do not. Not yet. The earlier in the, I'm not sure if she's aware. Well, I guess I can't imagine she's a subscriber or whatever. Especially not from back in the Legs Play days. But when I had a girlfriend during the first year of the channel, and that was the name we called her, Soft Leg.
That's awesome.
So that's always been the running joke that, like, if I have a girlfriend, she takes the title of Soft Leg.
Oh, okay. So there isn't a soft leg right now.
Not right now. Maybe in the future. Who knows? Probably not. But
man, you'd be surprised.
time makes fools of us all.
I'm convinced that love's forever out there for everybody. It's just a matter of meeting that person. But that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, if you had asked me like 10 years ago if I'd be playing professional Yu-Gi-Oh, I'd be like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, you never know where life's going to take you. You got to be prepared to take the chances that go. I was not really big into Yu-Gi-Oh when I started this, but take the opportunities where you get them.
Yeah, that's how I feel about TikTok right now, because like I have never gotten up over 100 followers or subscribers anywhere that quick. Like I had 60 followers on TikTok like a little over a week ago. Now I'm at almost 160 now. So I'm like, I don't know where the extra 100 people just popped up out of nowhere. So it's like you said, you didn't see yourself doing Yu-Gi-Oh content for a living, and I don't know if I keep growing at this rate, I'll be at 1,000 followers, but on TikTok by the time I get to the 1,000 mark here on YouTube, but I've only had this for 3 months, so
yeah.
I guess people on TikTok get a giggle out of this because this is all I do. I just
Vampire teeth.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I do. I'm on TikTok and I'll throw like a Lucifer sound, so it'd be like, "Hello, bad guy," and it's just me mouthing it. Yeah, see,
should be the Dracula of Yu-Gi-Oh, not the Ben 10 of Yu-Gi-Oh.
I got my omnidreams.
That'd be probably better. I think Dracula's in the public domain too, so you could actually like you'd have better chance doing merch and stuff. That'd be the one. That's the one thing I was kind of worried about with your name is like if you ever want to monetize Ben 10,000, like I'm pretty sure that's already owned by someone.
Yeah, but luckily for me, I've got my own symbol and everything, so it's a little different.
Oh,
and
okay.
And I've looked into it. I'm technically parody, technically. And if I really was worried about it, I would just change it to Brian 10,000, like my real name. So If
Gotcha.
it comes down to it, I'll just change the channel name to Brian 10,000 and stick with the theme. You know what I mean? Because nobody will care.
Yeah.
They'll just get it because they'll get a
Sounds
giggle
good.
out of it. Yeah. So this one comes from another fellow tuber. I know you answered this one. Invoked 101. Shout outs to you, brother. How does he be so cool?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How are you so cool?
How does he be so cool?
Yeah.
I was just born that way, baby. I live at the corner of sweet and tight. I wasn't expecting that reaction.
I'm sorry.
I remember
I
went to
a 12-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember going to high school, and there was a kid in my gym class that, for whatever reason, no one else in the class had any other classes with them. I think he was a different year. No one knew him, and every time someone talked to him, he'd always have something cryptic. It'd be like I had one friend who would always be like, "Hey, man, like what grade are you in? How old are you? We don't know you." And he's like, "I'm old enough to be your daddy," and then he'd just walk away. It'd be like, "Where do you live at? Where are you from?" And he'd be like, "I live at the corner of Sweet and Tight," and then he'd just walk away.
Oh, goodness. Just wow. Just wow.
Just weird.
Oh, I love it.
Never found out his name, even.
I would have just made something up. I'm just going to give him a nickname and just...
Yeah.
That's cryptid. He don't ever answer anything right.
Yep.
All right, this one comes from our good buddy Joseph, Mr. Rothschild, leader of the Yugist Revolution, MBT himself. Had to. I don't know why I felt the need to give him like a wrestling intro.
He deserves the titles. He's worked
that.
hard to get where he's about to surpass me, I think, in subscribers, which when I found him, he had like 1/3 of me, so good job, Joseph.
Yeah, good shout outs to you, bud. You're
subscribe to MBT if you're not already.
Also make sure you subscribe to HardLeg. The dude's a legend. I'm just saying. But we don't yeah. Anyway, MBT's question is, you're known as much a Yugist, a male model, and most importantly, a male model. How do you find the time?
The trick is to not do anything else. If you don't leave the house and you don't have a girlfriend or another job and you're not even trying and you barely visit your family and you see your friends like once every 2 weeks, then you can afford to do as much work as I do.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
So basically, would you say that would you say like these interviews with like friends over the internet, probably since we're in this pandemic situation, probably do wonders for your keeping, or I should say, you're keeping you sane, probably?
Well, no, I kind of feel like I could live in a cabin in the woods and not go insane. I've never been that much of a social guy, despite how well I socialize and everything. It's like whenever I have a monthly Patreon hangout where all the patrons, we hang out and stuff, and even just talking to people on voice chat for like 3 hours afterwards, I'm like exhausted. The next day I like sleep for like 12 hours straight. Just not a very social person, so I guess that helps too. If you like to be alone and work and read, you can get a lot of stuff done. And don't smoke or drink or do any vices. That helps as well.
Yeah, well, in the middle of a pandemic, I mean, that's kind of hard to do. I think everybody's got a vice. Those of us who don't have girlfriends have, we have drugs and alcohol. That's a horrible joke. Or Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh's a vice, I think. Can be.
Yeah. I think everyone has a vice. I mean, I do like eating bacon and drinking cherry Coke a lot, so there's that. The point is, though, when you do that, it doesn't make you incapable of working for the rest of the night like chugging vodka does, nor does it leave you hungover. And you eat the bacon and then you feel good, and then you go on. Superman.
Yeah, mine's coffee. That's my vice.
Ah,
I
that's
don't
a good
know why.
vice to have.
Yeah, I just wish that it would actually still have the same effect it did on me when I was a teenager, and that I wouldn't need like 3 cups to get going in the morning, or my equivalent to the morning. All right, so
it's really good. If you haven't tried it, you mix hot coffee with hot chocolate. like 50-50. Mix them together. The little sugar will give you a kick. Then you got the kick from the coffee. Works together.
Okay. I may have to give that a shot. This one comes from Porcelain. What would it take to get you to say Alistair is best boy in front of at least most of your audience? I think you already answered that one yesterday.
Oh yeah, I answered all these yesterday, and it's I think we came up last time. It took me a moment to think of it, and I'm like, no, it's $25.
$25.
Because if you want me to say something, yeah, I do shout outs at the end of the video. All my major videos where I shout out the $25 tier patrons, and they can have me say their name, or they can have a message if they want to like subscribe to whatever. So if you want me to say Alistair is best, $25 on the Patreon. Have it at the end of every video. All 30,000 people will see it, probably, maybe. Possibly. I don't know. I don't know how many people watch the end of the videos, the credits.
If YouTube decides to let you go that far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a joke at YouTube's expense. I'm mean to corporations.
Good. They deserve it.
I'm mean to YouTube. I'm mean to Konami. I swear, if Konami ever heard me the way I talk about them when the cameras aren't rolling, they'd ban me from all their events. I'm mean. Oh, man. All right, so this one is from Not a Bear. I'm guessing they changed their screen names to something a little more...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think
a rundown... Glad they're not a bear.
Yeah. That would be scary. Be like, why is there a bear on Twitter?
I don't want no bear questions in here.
I'd be more scared if a bear walked up and asked me a question. I'd be like, what? How did you... What's in my coffee?
Nah, because, I mean, at that point, you're like magic. It's like Pooh Bear, maybe? Talking bears are fine. It's the non-talking bears. You can't reason with them.
See, I have the exact opposite reaction in that scenario. I'd be like, ah! Yo! There'd just be a puff of smoke where I was standing because I'd be out of there. Like, nope. Mm-mm. Or I'd be sitting there like this. What the hell did they put in my coffee?
I don't think this was coffee, Ochama Yellow.
Alright. Their question is, what is a rundown of, or a kind of where are they now, of the Legs Play past and present?
Oh, yeah. I think last time I went over all of them. If you don't know, Legs Play is my Let's Play show. It's what I started the channel with, moved it to a different channel, and I have a rotating cast of co-hosts who eventually show up over on the What a Deck. If you ever see a What a Deck that has a special guest, it's one of the Legs Players. And if you like them, check out the Legs Play channel. Most of them are still where they are. They're still in the same place now that they were before. They haven't left or anything. There's two that are no longer like on the channel. Mm-hmm. The one Fish Criminal, he was the guy that yeah, well, kind of interesting. It was so when my channel had like 100, 300 subscribers, I think I lost monetization due to a bug in YouTube's system that I only got back like last year thanks to an MCN, but I lost monetization. And I was like, okay, I can't make money with just ads anymore. I need to have a Patreon. And if I'm going to have a Patreon, I need to have high-quality content that's worth donating to. So I told all my friends, I had like a meeting, and I was like, look, we got to start taking this seriously. We're going to have to like plan stuff out. You're going to have to be on schedule and everything, and I'll pay you when I can pay you. And all of them were like, I'm in, except for Fish Criminal. He was like, you're taking this too seriously. You should get a real job. This will never work out. You're a fool to try. I'm out.
Which is funny because
and I have never forgiven him.
I was gonna say, and that's that. And
yeah, you said the same thing happened to you.
Yeah, when I was becoming the Ben 10 guy on YouTube's, I had a guy in Zodiac Duelist, the Facebook group, who was just like, "You're a clown. You're an idiot." Like, I mean, this dude like literally just. I posted the first video of me slapping the watch and turning into a Yu-Gi-Oh monster, and this dude was like just ripping me a new one. I still don't.
Yeah, some people just don't. They don't like fun.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
they're
all.
Like, if someone's having goofy, that's
that's
a lot of people are like, if you're having fun, that's cringe, man. That's cringe. You shouldn't care about anything. You should just be a nihilist and hate everything. Be cynical all the time.
Oh, I know. I should just be be angry all the time.
Yeah.
I can't be angry all the time. I'm already angry in real life enough as a person. Let me have my one space where I can just be goofy and enjoy myself, please.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's how I feel
Set
about.
yourself on fire, and the world will come to watch.
Well, I feel like I am the Yu-Gi-Oh! The YouTube court jester, so I guess that's fitting.
But yeah, sorry, we got off track again.
It's all
That
good.
happens a lot. The other guy, Deadleg Frank, friend of mine, and just for 8 months he didn't talk to me. Like, I'd send him a message, I'd be like, hey, you want to record? You want to hang out? You want to do anything? And just like nothing back at all. Not even like I'm busy, just no response. Tried calling him, didn't pick up. And then 8 months later, yeah,
I'm joking.
8 months later, he just popped into the Discord like nothing happened. Like, hey, you want to record soon? I'm like, no.
You had your
You
chance.
disappeared for 8 months. Like, I was busy. Like, no, that's not how friendships work. You can't just like, oh, when I don't feel like being a friend, I just leave for 6 months. But when I want someone to keep me entertained, I'll just pop back into your life. No.
Yeah.
So friendship ended with Deadleg.
Oh, poor guy.
MBT is my new friend.
There you go. You've been replaced. Could you imagine he's going to watch this interview and be like, how dare you?
He won't.
He won't. You're right.
He don't watch anything.
Oh, goodness. This one comes from Nazgul 4. What will the deck list songs ever be featured in a playlist on their own?
I don't plan to because they're only like 20 seconds long. Do you know what he's talking about?
I have no clue. I just assumed it was the background music. Is what I assumed.
Okay, well, the background music, if you want the themes and stuff that I use for like the deck build challenge, all that is on the Patreon. If you donate $2, you can get all that. You can get all the background music I use for stuff. If you haven't watched my deck profiles, in the last 20 or so episodes, I've been making like a rap or a song to sing the deck list in rhyme to try to make it more lively, so I'm not just reading out cards. And a lot of people like show up just for the songs because they really enjoy them. So people keep asking like, when are you going to make a mixtape with all the songs together?
Oh, that would be interesting. Maybe that's a video you should do at some point. Just saying. That's kind of an interesting idea.
The only thing, they're only like 20 seconds long, and they have entirely different beats, so I don't think there's any way to like mash them together or whatever. It'd just be...
That's fair.
Really weird.
That's fair. Let's see here. You covered this one in the first time, so I'm going to skip that one, because that was advice which you gave in the first part. I actually got the audio for that. Damn Decepticons.
Yeah, I gave you the audacity. Although, what was it? I had a little time to think. There is one more bit of advice I'd like to give to all aspiring Yu-Gi tubers, or YouTubers in general. Be patient. Be prepared to work on a channel for at least a year with no one paying attention to you, because it's going to take that long before you get, like, even have a chance to get noticed. Sometimes it'll take multiple years. I mean, you've been, what, 3 years, and now you're almost at 1,000 subscribers?
Yeah, I would say I started it in 2017, and then I started seriously chasing it in 2018, and then now I'm where I'm at now. So, but also, like, I also didn't feel comfortable asking for help. Like, that was something, like, that was an issue in my early days. Like, I was like, no, I'm going to get there on my own. And I just didn't use, like, for example, I've known Mike Slim, a.k.a. Slim YGO, a.k.a. Slim X Team Symmetry. I've known him for forever. I could have reached out to him when I had no subs to work with him, and he would have worked with me. But I just was being stubborn and didn't ask for help. So that's another thing. That would be another thing. Look up, either ask for help or look up tutorials and stuff. And don't be afraid to work with people, especially around your own size. Like, like the first thing that got my subscribers going off is I was doing a race with another small tuber, Yusei YGO Pro. I had like 150 subs. He had like 300, and the goal, and he challenged me. He said, okay, first person to 500 wins or something like that. So I said, okay, I'll race him. I figured, I'd lose, but maybe he'd let me be on his channel if I, because I lost, and, I could, get a a pity video on a bigger channel. So, but then I ended up winning. I started saying, hey, I'm in a race with him, and then I just, in a couple months, I started blowing past, like I caught up to him, and I was like, all right, and then I blew past him.
Yeah. That would be another thing, not even just crossovers, but in general, I find that, like, you know, if you need to make videos that are, like, useful or videos that you can advertise.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're making replays or deck profiles, there's a million of those. Like, if you post them anywhere, it's pretty much just considered spam.
Yeah.
But if you make, like, the thing that got me my first, like, couple thousand subscribers was I made tutorials on, like, how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And how problem-solving card text works. Posted those on Reddit and got a couple hundred people subbed just from that. And once that momentum starts building, you can get more stuff. And then a shout out from Rank 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Did the rest.
Yeah. I think my thing, the reason I'm at where I'm at is because I'm entertaining a little bit. Like, I try to be funny. Like, the whole turning into Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters or having the little story at the front of my deck profiles. So you come to the deck profile, like on my last one, I had a video where, like, I fell asleep. And then a ghost is possessing me. There's a whole arc in there, but I don't want to spoil it here. And then you got to see him fight. You know, it's basically me and Guyliner with this sword fighting a dinosaur. And it's just and I do the whole like mind crush thing, and I do the silly voices and all. Yeah. And
a lot of people like the skits and stuff.
Yeah. So
there's an audience for that. That's not very. I mean, the only other person who does the skits that I know of is, like, Yugi No, who's kind of infrequent about it. Yeah. Although he does Eugene so well. I always forget Eugene is, like, a different person. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And MBT, who does the skit every episode, but it's, like, 10 seconds long most of the time.
Right.
And completely unrelated. You've got the Linkara style skits, if you're familiar with him.
I don't think I am, to be honest. I just do the whole, like, my skits are like anywhere from a minute or 2 minutes, and they're like, the idea is like they're a quick little story, and I try to make them funny or like intriguing. That's like the two goals I go for. So, and I'm very good at slapstick humor. Like, I'm not good with the witty stuff, but if you want to see me get tossed around like a rag doll, I could pretend to be being tossed around or getting punched by a monster. There's, like, when they did the Egyptian God Slime card, I made a deck profile about that monster, and I took a short clip from the... Oh, what is the name of that movie? There's a movie where there's a slime monster from, like, back in the 80s.
The Blob?
Maybe. It might have been the Blob, where it's basically pink space goo. And it just starts, it's the Blob. I took a clip from the Blob, right? And the clip is the part where he's coming in for the guy in the movie reels, like where he's like at the movies, they have the little projector. The guy who's operating the projector, and I took the clip of it coming through a vent because, Howard, a vent could be in any room. So, and it was a close up. So
yeah.
So then I go over, like, I act like I'm looking at a vent, and I go, what the fuck? Next thing you know, you see a slimy fist hit me in the face, and it's just a cropped fist from the obelisk picture. Yeah. And then I make it like, oh, what the hell? That's basically my slapstick humor. I get punched by Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters all the time. Or
gotcha.
Or you'll see me, like, dodging laser blast or something. Like I make jokes where I have, like, I'm talking on the phone with, like, Pegasus and getting annoyed that he's making me tame another dragon or something. Yeah, that's like the whole story arc of my Ben 10 character, basically.
If you don't know, if you're watching this for me and you haven't checked out Ben 10 and that sounds interesting, do that thing,
please. All right, sorry, we got off track. My bad. This one is...
These things happen.
Let's see here. We accidentally covered that one. Which Yu-Gi-Tuber you haven't had as a co-host yet would you like to have as a co-host on the DBC? Besides
Oh, yeah.
But it's...
I said, I think it was me and Simo were going to do something back in, like, May. Mm-hmm. And then I had, like, the April 1st thing, and then coronavirus really kicked off, and everyone was kind of, like, shuffling their content around because they didn't know. A lot of people were doing, like, quarantine tournaments and stuff like that. He had the he did the YouTuber Grand Championship too. So he was busy for a long time, and then I just kind of forgot about it. So I need to get back to him at some point and be like, "Oh, hey, you want to do that thing from 6 months ago?"
So now you're the friend.
Is that? Yeah.
Oh, hey, you have come full circle. But it's...
Get that and Davinator. I need to have Davinator on here at some point. He seems like a fun guy.
Oh, he is. I think I've mentioned it to you. You didn't see that one, but I did a behind the screen with him, and he's a character. I imagine Simo is probably. I don't know why I think this, but I have a gut feeling that Simo is probably funnier like in person than he is on his channel. Like I know because he's very informative, but I don't know why.
I've talked to him a little bit outside of things, but I wouldn't say I really know him. Our interactions have always been sort of like on a professional level.
Right.
So there's still that sort of like barrier of like trying to be funny. I don't know how he is if you just like hang out. You have to ask MBT about that.
Yeah, he and
Simo commenting PPG events and stuff together.
Yeah, and we already know Joseph's hilarious because he...
Yeah.
That man, I swear
Joseph's a great guy.
Yeah, I swear he could have been anything. Like that man's also brilliant too. Like I know that he's, I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he, I think I don't know if anyone knows this, but I think he's going to school to be a lawyer, or he's going to law school.
Yeah,
I know that, and he's like, so that tells me that he's not only hilarious, witty, but he's also brilliant. That's just what that tells me.
He really needs to change his name to like the Yu-Gi-Oh lawyer.
There's an opportunity there. I swear.
Yep, and then do rulings videos.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna have to ask him about that afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, let's get into what's the next question.
All right. Then we've only got like 2 left, so we're good.
Okay.
Are you getting a new hairstyle soon?
No.
No,
I'm going to keep growing the hair and the beard until I am a Yu-Gi-Oh wizard. Maybe I can retake the Yu-Gi-Oh... No, I can't be Yu-Gi-Oh Jesus. He's clean-shaven. I could be Yu-Gi-Oh Rasputin.
Yu-Gi-Oh Rasputin. I like it. Or if we wait long enough, you could be Yu-Gi-Oh Gandalf. Just saying.
You shall not mine! Something, I don't know.
You shall not Exodia. I don't know. I don't know. I was going to...
I guess the you shall not pass would still work. If they're like, I pass into main phase, and you activate a trap, and you're like, you shall not pass! There's a skit there somewhere. I'd have to sit down and write it. I'll get the beard eventually, and then I'll do the Yu-Gi-Oh! Gandalf skit.
I'll have to hit you up at some point, because eventually there's going to have to be a joke to be made there.
I can cameo stuff. Just let me know.
All right, and this is the last one, and this one's the one I think is one of the better questions. If you weren't doing YouTube, what would you be doing?
I'd probably still be working fast food, unfortunately. Unless I had one of my other projects got off the ground. I think I forget if this got cut out or if it was mentioned earlier, but I've always been working on I have like a comic that I worked on for like 4 years that I wrote like all these scripts for, but I don't have an artist. So I was hoping to save up money to pay for that. I have a tabletop game that I've been working on, a card game. I have the novel that's pretty much done. It's a first draft. I need to go back and rewrite it a couple times. So it's possible I would still be doing those things, but much slower if I was working fast food, and maybe one of those would take off, but most likely I'd still be at Raising Cane's, making chicken fingers.
Well, I'll say this.
Which, I mean, hey.
Chicken fingers, I mean, those are good, right?
Yeah, I mean, making people dinner food, it's a noble profession.
It's an essential profession, too.
Yes. Very much so.
But I was gonna say, on the last stuff that they didn't get to see was the talk about the novel that you wrote, which I I just want to I'm gonna make this real quick comment on it. You guys, like, if HardLegJoe here ever makes that into a book that you can buy, you should buy that, because he gave me the premise for it, and I was like, ooh, that is fascinating. And so I just want to...
My plan, actually, I call it a book, but I'm not going to release it as a book. At least I'm not planning to. My plan is to record myself reading it and release it one chapter at a time on YouTube as like an audio experience.
Oh, there you go.
So when I do release it, you will know because I will make videos about it. It'll probably have its own channel. I already have the Legend of Lefty channel saved. There's just nothing on it yet.
I like this. I'm excited. It's gonna be hella interesting. The story, because Joe here gave me the synopsis and before when we had the bad.
Yeah, I guess. Do you care if I just do the back of the book synopsis again really quick?
If you want to, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I just wasn't sure how your time and everything was working out. I know obviously you've already heard it.
Yeah.
But for those who are interested in the audience, rather than get teased, it's the basic idea is that it's a subversion of sort of the traditional fantasy story. It starts with there's a big evil that's threatening the world, and then it gets defeated by a great hero, and then it's a world of peace. And then 50 years later, you have this character, Lefty, who is this very strong, very noble, very heroic character who has nothing to fight. He's in a world where all the major problems have been solved, and it's mostly like political squabbling. Mm-hmm. So he has to go out into the world and find something to do with his time. It's sort of taking that idea of like, I was born too late to explore the world and too early to explore the universe. What the hell do I do?
And I mentioned in that Lost recording that I thought it was fascinating, the idea of being a heroic character in a time where heroes aren't needed anymore. Which isn't that kind of a funny thought to think about? Like that concept alone is interesting because like, you know, like we've all grown up on these epic tales, and could you imagine living in a world where all they are now is stories, like because there's no evil left to fight.
Yeah. Well, just in general, I feel like there's a lot of people who have that idea where they're enthusiastic about protecting something or doing something great, and they don't have any clear way to channel it.
Yeah.
Or like I have a friend who's like, he's very athletic, he's very strong, he likes to fight, he got in fights a lot as a kid, and now that he's older, he's like, man, if I grew up in like the 1400s, I would be a great warrior. I feel like I was designed to be a warrior, and the only, like, even if you wanted to fight people, like, going to the military, it's not the same. Where, like, running around with a gun is not as, like, he's like, I could hear the charge, the call of the horde, I want to run into battle with a sword.
Right. And also, it's like I mentioned, it's like I mentioned yesterday, it'd be like, you know, being a talented swordsman today. It's just not as useful a skill unless it's for sports. Yeah. It's like, you were just born, you have the natural talent of the swordsman, and there's nothing you could do for it. Yeah. Unless you're good at fencing. Yeah. It's like the only thing you could do is take it into into a sports arena, and your friend with the same. He could go for like MMA or UFC or something, but his hand-to-hand combat skills would never be useful in like saving the world or anything like that in today's day and age. Unless he's secretly the Iron Fist and can like, punch a car 6 miles out or something. Yeah. I don't know, being a superhero, I actually had a friend, I'm not sure if I'd call him a friend. I had a roommate at one point who actually used to dress up as a superhero and go out and like fight crime and stuff. Oh, really? And it was like that guy Phoenix Jones that was in the news a few years ago. I've never heard of Phoenix Jones. Oh, I'm trying to remember who it was at the time. Yeah, it's that he like imitated. There was a movement of people a few years, I want to say almost a decade ago. There were people, they called themselves the real life superheroes, and they went out and they did they went out and they did stuff like superheroes, except they were really just glorified charity workers essentially. Like most of them, all they did was wear a costume and hand out food to homeless people. He didn't want to be, he's like, that's an important part, but he actually wanted to like fight crime, but his thing of fighting crime was like dressing in an all-black costume and going down to like the city where he knew drug deals were going on. Yeah. And then like if he saw sneaky-looking people, he would call the police on them, or he would like shoot fireworks at them to scare them off so that they'd think there were like gunshots and they wouldn't want to do the drug deal anymore. Yeah. And every once in a while, he'd get in a fight with someone because, honestly, he's running around in an all-black outfit. He looks suspicious as hell. Yeah.
I can't. I can understand why even innocent. He was kind of deluded. Now that I think about it, but he never hurt anyone, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So I think he's fine.
I'll admit, like, when I was like 19, even I thought it was an interesting idea, and like, you know, like I have had, or I should say had, really, because I don't have them anymore, but I had like drawings of like what my costume would look like and all that stuff. But it just, you know, I live in a small, I don't know, I guess reality hit me at some point, because I had a cousin and I thought about doing it, and
yeah,
you know, we went on patrol, which really just meant we went for a walk.
Yeah.
Because we live in a small town, so there's
not a whole lot to do.
Yeah, there wasn't anything there was no one to fight, there was nothing like that, so I guess reality just kind of set in, and we realized, oh, we are idiots, and we went home.
And I mean, that's the same thing with this guy, is like, even though he had a city that had, like, you know, we're by East St. Louis, that's one of the biggest crime areas around, but even then, 95% of the time, he was like hiding in the shrubs or hiding behind a building, waiting for something to happen or hoping something would happen. And he would just have entire nights where he'd just go out and walk around and try to look for something and find nothing.
And that's the other part.
The only interesting thing... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Your story's probably more interesting anyway.
Oh, the only other interesting thing about it was that he was kind of good at engineering, and he actually ended up making a taser glove, where he bought this glove, and then he had a spike that went through it, and it was on an actuator that went down, and he had a whole bunch of like disposable camera batteries attached to it, like chain linked together.
Oh, nice.
And if he like palmed you, it would shock you with enough volts. It was like equivalent to a taser.
Oh, wow.
So it was enough to like knock you over. But if you did it, like, it would only use, what was it? It used all the batteries like at once. Okay. So he could only do it once, and if he missed, then it was done. And he never used it on a person. He used it on, like, he practiced on wood, and he used, like, some pieces of meat and stuff to see if it would work on, like, flesh. And then I think, like, the 10th time he did it, he set the glove on fire.
Oh, God.
Burned his hand pretty bad. Damn. So then he decided to just not do that anymore. But it was a cool idea for a time.
Yeah. I mean, if he could have found a way to make it work and not drain so quickly, he probably could have been a successful vigilante if he'd wanted to be.
Yeah, possibly.
But I don't know. I guess we only did the walk thing, like, I want to say twice. It's not like, and I guess when I really think about it, it wasn't something we seriously thought about. It was just basically like LARPing.
Yeah.
We didn't have any costumes either. Go ahead.
You think you want to fight crime, and then at the end, all you got to do is walk around and imagine what it would be like to fight crime.
Yeah. Well, in our case, it was also like our views were changing too at that time. So like things like, ooh, yeah, we can stop a drug deal. But like now, I'd look on it and go like, why the fuck would I want to stop a drug deal? I don't care. If people want to get high, you know what I mean.
The real drug dealers are the pharmaceutical companies pushing things out when they don't need to be.
Yeah.
With an
real
opioid epidemic.
Yeah, like a real superhero today would have to be like a hacker. That would be a realistic take on a superhero.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, that's the thing. You don't see Superman fighting a lot of corporate crime.
Yeah. Like, that's the real crime. That's like the real, like, people who are causing evil in our society. Or most of them are people that are just rich assholes.
Yeah, funding think tanks to, like, disprove science and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Or they could just,
state of affairs.
Put a orange man in the presidency and just deny science exists. That kind of thing. Well, guys, this has been the end. I'm gonna try to end it here. Thank you, HardLegJoe, for coming on, and thank you for coming on a second time. I know that's frustrating. And I'm frustrated for you. So for what it's worth,
hopefully it works this time.
I'm gonna.
It's all good. I'm an egomaniac, so I don't mind talking about myself for an hour. It's fine.
Well then, in that case, I'm just kidding. Thank you again. Everyone go subscribe to HardLeg. He did not have to do this, and he doubly did not have to do this. He did this twice. That shows you.
I like to help out the small Yugi tubers. Like, if you're a small Yugi tuber and there's something I can help you with, don't feel free to reach out. I'm open to do like crossovers and stuff.
Like, my gosh, man! Like, golly, your channel should just be changed to Saint HardLeg, the Yugi Tube Saint. There's a joke somewhere in there.
Somewhere
in there. Yugi No-No's like, perfecting it right now as we speak. Oh, goodness. All right, guys. I'm Ben10000YGO. I am your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh! Superhero, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Until next time, good luck.
And good riddance.